Welcome to Innovations. I'm Kathleen Berger. The St. Louis-based beer dispenser allows craft beer lovers to drink any beer at any time, tapped fresh from their kitchen countertop. The Synek system has been called the Keurig of the beer industry. The founder, Steve Young, launched the product with a nationwide tour starting in St. Louis.
Oh, you ready? There you go.
Soulard, June 2015. Spirits are high as St. Louis is introduced to Synek, a countertop craft beer dispenser. The Synek team is showing St. Louis beer enthusiasts how they can take a bag to their favorite brewery, have it filled, and enjoy a brewer's beer from home at their convenience. It stays fresh for at least a month, unlike beer in a growler or glass jug, which can go flat a couple days after opening.
The other nice part is the bag. It's got the holder so that when you leave the brewery, you can hold it easy and it doesn't slosh too much. And then I'm going to hook up the beer. And I'm going to hook up the CO2 line.
A lot of science went into the making of Synek. But before the product had a name, and a tour bus, and a 33-city tour in the US and Canada, every invention has a beginning. And that story is for this man to tell.
So, Philadelphia. This is the place where I was born and raised. I spent a lot of time on the playground.
Steve, don't.
Chilling out back, relaxing off cool. Sometimes I would shoot some b-ball outside of school.
Maybe the tour isn't the best place to tell his true story. So we caught up with Steve Young at his St. Louis headquarters. Here he explains how his job as a stock analyst in Cleveland, Ohio, created an opportunity he couldn't pass up.
The stock analyst thing was really interesting because it gave me a different perspective into companies, what made them succeed, how they evolved, all that other stuff, and just hearing people talk about it. Oh, these breweries are opening up here, or have you tried this beer, this brewery? And you know, when you look at the numbers were staggering. I mean, they're starting to grow exponentially, and I'm like, man, this could be a really good investment opportunity. And that's what kind of led me down that path. It was a little bit of the passion for beer, but it was more of, man, this is an industry of small businesses. It's growing rapidly. There's a ton of brands. That's what really got my attention.
So, we're pulling up to Great Lakes here in a second, and Great Lakes is the brewery that actually got me hooked on craft beer. So, gonna be back in Cleveland, continuing the launch, rocking it out with Great Lakes Brewery.
Young started researching the craft beer industry, talking to representatives from breweries around the world.
As I learned more about how they do their business, how they engage their customers, I learned that profit was always an issue, but more than that, it was how do they get their beer into your home? You know, distribution is really rough in the beer industry, but the packaging's tough too. So right now, if you want to bottle or can your beer product, you have to have this $100,000 plus machinery to do it. And I was like, well, what if there was a way that you can fill any beer off of any tap and you wouldn't have to buy equipment? They said that would change everything.
So that's what Young set out to do, change everything.
So, well, I don't know anything about packaging, and I just started talking to experts in the industry. Found some good packaging folks. They're like, yeah, we could do something like this. And I said, great, quit my job.
So he quit his job in Cleveland and set up shop in St. Louis, putting together his team, including some key engineers, to create a product he called Synek.
There's a lot of people that think it's an acronym, Steve Young, ... because SY is the first two initials, so they think Steve Young never enjoys kegs, and I kind of laugh at that, and I'm like, okay, that's funny. People think it's because I'm cynical and I'm kind of thumbing the nose at the large mass brewers who have kind of constricted the industry, and that's cute too, but The fact of the matter is I just wanted to create a brand that was ours.
But there's got to be something to it.
There is an element to it. There's like a secret wrapped into it that we're telling our consumers. We will reveal like the full true story of the evolution of the name 10 years later. So there's that to hold on to.
Oh, thank you.
Most beer lovers aren't hung up on the name. They want to know what Synek can do for them. And the same goes for the breweries, who are key to Young's success.
And what we found is if we can make the brewers happy, if they can make all the money, they have a high quality product, they can engage their customers better, then their customers become our customers.
Before the launch, Young said more than 2,400 brewers stepped up to support the Synek product. The design and production had zero investors, so Young launched a Kickstarter campaign that was wildly successful, which means this is a crowd-funded beer dispenser. Then days before this launch, Synek raised a substantial amount more, $2.5 million from Arsenal Capital Management.
It's been crowd-funded, but it's also been crowd-supported by the breweries.
With 2,400 breweries on board, Young says that's about 70,000 brands of beer accessible through one device.
You can't get 70,000 different brands in a grocery store, obviously.
The draft tap has been the way we dispense beer since the beginning. Young says Synek is the first true innovation in beer packaging and distribution since the 1930s with the invention of the metal can.
80 years later, Young is focusing on this new packaging with one prototype after another to ensure a high-quality product.
This is the first ever flexible packaging that can hold basically a car on top of it. It can hold extremely high pressures. Why this is important is because it can be filled airtight, meaning no oxygen touches the beer. Anybody who drinks wine or beer knows that oxygen is like the worst thing in the world. You take the bags into breweries and they fill them airtight. You take them home back to your dispenser, click it into the dispenser does the rest. It keeps it at the best temperature possible, best pressure possible, so you're getting the freshest beer in the world tapped literally right from the brewer's tap, drawn right from the source, and you get to dispense it on your countertop. Like, that's never been done before.
Young explains how this type of technology has been done before, but not in this way for this reason.
But it's only been done by the big mass brewers. The problem when the big companies take it over is they only want to sell their beer. Nobody's kind of come with our approach and said, we want to sell everyone's beer. 70,000 brands versus 5.
And the timing has never been better.
5 years ago, this wasn't possible. There weren't enough breweries around. The laws were way too tight and restrictive. Growlers were illegal in a majority of the states. And so this is basically the perfect timing of all this to happen too. Everybody's jumping on board and saying, hey, this is our opportunity to sell our beer.
The hope is for craft beer-filled bags to be sold at grocery stores and one day to be shipped to your door.
As the laws start to melt, you'll start to see access being easier. You can ship wine direct to door because the wineries grew in the 1990s, but the breweries hadn't yet. Same thing is going to happen with beer.
It all starts with making a difference here.
Young's Brewing Company has been one of the pioneers in especially this area. But as you can see, people are just clamoring in there to just get different beer, new beer. I'm really excited to see how this place does and the impact that it has in the Northeast.
Again, we want to send people into breweries' doors, and so the brewers are going to make a lot of money, get to engage consumers. The consumers can pick up their dispenser and their favorite brewer's beer while they're there.
The crowdsourced dispensers are priced between $300 to $400. But for beer lovers, that's a drop in their beer money bucket for the convenience of drinking local beer they crave from the comfort of home. Any beer at any time. And word travels fast from state to state.
For more information about Synek and how to go about buying one, go to the company's website, synek.beer.